LifeSpeak podcast sponsored by Chafin Real Estate Services. Looking to make your next move? You're in the right place. Welcome to LifeSpeaks, the podcast that dives deep into real stories, big ideas, and life-changing insights. This episode is proudly brought to you by Chafin Real Estate Services, your trusted partner in full-service property management, expert real estate sales. With over 100 years of cumulative experience, Chafin Real Estate ensures your investments are in the best hands. Ready to find your dream home or maximize your rental income? Visit chafinrealestate.com or call 775-575-5000 today.
Thank you for joining us again with Angela and Michael Bakker. We're on episode 6 now, and we're kind of back we're still in the NICU. We're at like month 1, and just let you guys start with your next memory or...
Well, it was definitely, as much as I was, very negative and down and was carrying, I had a little group that my friend Gina that was on the last podcast started called Naomi's Angels. And it was a group of women that were just basically there for me. And some that I knew well, some that I didn't. And I would just send a little message out to them and just say, this is what's going on. Share the joys and the lows. And
you finally got your phone back is what I'm
yes,
hearing you
I
say.
got my phone back. But I couldn't do any sort of social media because it was very hard to understand how anybody could possibly be getting on with their lives. Even if I didn't know them, it was still hard to understand that there was any joy and happiness outside.
You wanted to throw dirt clods
at
people.
How very dare you not be holding a vigil outside of Reno Hospital all day, every day. So I wasn't there emotionally. But I was seeking out people in similar situations in these. Naomi was a micro preemie. It's a very, very small preemie. I forget the parameters. I think it's 27 weeks and under a certain weight. And so you have to join these groups. They're very heavily monitored, and they check you through. And anyway, I found there was a bunch of them, but I found these 2 ladies. One was in Boston and one was in Greece. And they had babies similar size. And so they were like my new BFFs. I barely spoke to my real friends. But these women, I had something in common with them, and they were the only women that I knew in the world that I could relate to. And thank God, for all the rubbish with social media and all that, this was a lifeline for me. And these 2 ladies, when we would hit an obstacle, I'm like, what's going on? What do you think? Oh, you need to ask your doctor this. What type of, is the milk being fortified by human milk or is it fortified by cow milk? That's really important. Their little guts can't handle this. And they would just equip me. And they were both people of faith. And I was getting this, it's like they're the only ones that know. Everybody can say, you'd have some people say, oh, yeah, I had a baby in the NICU. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. How long? Oh, it was like 3 days. It was terrible, And it was like, oh, I feel really bad for you, but that's not me. I can't. I wish it was 3 days. We're settling in for the seasons here, if we even make it. So I needed people that were, Mike was communicating with the rest of the world, occasionally with my friends, and there was lots of meal trains coming in. But then I had Naomi's Angels, and it was just basically my little chance to, can you guys please pray for this? And I remember describing to them, like when I walk into the NICU, and I had to walk down this huge long hallway, I just started feeling like this, I think the way I worded it was like this cloak of oppression, where I just felt I had the weight of the world on my shoulders, and I had this big, heavy jacket on. And I'd get there, and I'd have to dial in, and there was a number you had to dial for them to let you in. And I just remember, like, struggling just to pick that phone up. It was it was very physical. And there were some days I couldn't make it in. I just sat in the hallway and cried. And a nurse would come out and encourage me and tell me my baby needs me. And I was just overcome with how much she was suffering, how bleak it was. This was in the early days. So the staff there really, really helped. Friends helped, however they could. You feel very helpless.
Also, there's postpartum stuff going on.
Oh, I had serious hormone
plus
stuff.
you were dealing with the preeclampsia
Yes.
Whatever the
Now that had been fixed. So right after delivery, they put me in a room and basically poisoned me for 24 hours. They give you magnesium sulfate, is it? The mag they call it, and it's basically a poison that stops you from seizing and dying, and it is like going to hell. And I'm not saying that as a bad word. I'm saying as you're on fire, your body's on fire. And you've got a migraine where you can barely blink without it hurting. And so I physically was not able to even just get out of the bed.
How long did that last?
They put me on it for, I want to say, 24 hours. And once they felt I was in the safe zone, they took me off, and I was fine just like that.
Wow.
So as soon as they took me off it, I was still on pain medicine, but I was able to get up and be wheeled into the NICU to see her. And then it was just a matter of not being on pain medicines so I could drive.
Thank God they know how to do that, because so many women through the centuries have died of preeclampsia with no hope.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just, she's going to die. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's a miracle to
It
me.
is a miracle. And as miserable as it was, it's like, fancy being able to poison you to save your life. You know? Fancy that. So, what I had is the number one reason women die in pregnancy. So HELLP syndrome it's the number one reason. So what I had, if you don't go to a doctor and get prenatal care of any kind and you don't know you have it, you're probably going to die from this. And that's what the doctors in San Francisco were like. Like, you don't understand. People leave this hospital and they never come back.
That was the question I had for Michael. Is so now they're telling you, you cannot leave this hospital.
This was in San Francisco.
Yeah, in San Francisco, you cannot leave this hospital. What are you saying? Like, what do you mean? I'm in jail? I mean,
I know. I was like, too bad, we're leaving. I'm like,
well, I was like, you need to go back to Reno and I'll stay here by myself. This
I'm
little
like, no, I'm not leaving.
violin's playing.
I'm like, we're not going to be doing this back and forth to San Francisco if she delivers in San Francisco.
It wasn't doable.
It wasn't. I'm like, it's a 4-hour drive.
right.
And she's not that bad at this point yet. I'm like, well, it can happen really fast. I'm like, all right, if it does happen really fast, we know what 911 is. We know how to call. Exactly. We're adults. We can.
We actually got in touch with our mother-in-law, my mother-in-law, and she dropped everything. And because my family's on the other side of the world, and we had a lot of helping hands, but I couldn't be alone at home in case I had a seizure, and I had a toddler, and I couldn't drive. They didn't want me driving, obviously, because if you have a seizure, even though I never did at any point, and everything was very calm. But we brought mother-in-law out. That way she could be in the house, because Michael had to be at work and was trying to save his time up for when Naomi arrived and helping me get through all that. So she came down, and she was our helping with my son, and I was on bed rest, and if anything was going to happen to me, she was there, and she could dial 911 and get me to safety. So once I got through the preeclampsia scariness and they took me off the magnesium, it was fine. It was just the emotions were a mess. There were times I remember we definitely had some obstacles as a couple, when you go through something like this, for sure. Because you're on survival mode. You were just surviving. And I remember one night getting like angry with him because he could sleep. Bless your heart. It was like, what is wrong with you?
He has testosterone and you don't.
Yes. And I was already pretty hormonal as all the post-baby stuff. And I'm like, how can you sleep? Yeah. Our baby's in hospital. She could die any moment. I was just almost like belittling him. Like, what's wrong with you? Don't you have a heart? Like, because I like to stay up all night worrying and crying about it. What's your problem? And he, put me in my spot kindly, and he just...
I'm probably not as kindly.
No, you were.
You're probably saying kindly.
Because I felt really bad because I was being a bit harsh. And I was like, I don't understand how you can switch that switch off and wait to see what happens in the morning, because at any point... And so there was a lot of that nonsense going on as far as just roller coasters.
I mean, I wouldn't say like your relationship... I mean, it's very trying to do that as a couple. Like there's times where she just said, like, I couldn't go into the NICU. I'm like... Suck it up. It's your daughter. Like, let's go. Like, I'm not the touchy-feely kind of guy. It's more like logic takes over for
Put
me.
Your boots on and
Put your
you
boots on, go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Come on.
Big girl panties.
Yeah. I'm like, come on. And, not all the time did it go over well. I mean, honestly, there was times where, there was tension in our relationship. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's not like it was all perfect and everything.
Yeah, sunshine and roses.
No, it wasn't. So there was definitely some some trying times, and even our relationship going through the whole thing, just because you don't see eye to eye. And I'm like, you know what? God's got this. How do you know He's got this? You know, like,
I didn't have as much faith.
I don't know. I just have a peace. I told you I had this
Yeah.
prayer time, and I was prostrate on the floor, begging God, and I felt like I was in. It's odd as it sounds, I was in the throne room of the Almighty, and all I could see was His feet. And all I did was beg the whole time, and I just had peace after that. That, don't worry about it, I've got it. So, again, I probably had more peace about stuff
did.
than she did, and I'm just like, well, I got it. I got it for both of us. No, well, I don't have it, so
Yeah.
you don't.
And
So,
that's what's hard
Yeah.
is when you be nice if we could go, here, I'm giving this to
Yeah.
you so
Right.
you can have that.
I would have
And
loved some of that.
Oh, I know. It's this, I see that kind of situation all the time where you so much want to give what you've got to someone else and you want to take it from the other person that you need it from, you know. So,
But he was my rock because he had to worry about his baby and his wife. And then he had a son who was, pretty oblivious to it and just joy. So you'd come home and there was like not a care in the world, in his world. He just had this little sister called, he couldn't say her name. He would call her Omi. And he was, how's Omi? And then it would just bring you this joy because you're like, this is a sweet little kid. It was a great distraction in many ways because you had to go home and take care of your son. And he was just a happy little chap, glad to have mum around. And that was helpful. But yeah, Michael was definitely the rock that got us through this for sure.
it wasn't just me.
You carried me through it.
But I want to say there's a lot of other people. I mean, there's people out in the peripherals. So if you don't, there's probably people I never thanked for stuff
Oh yeah.
that they did for us. I mean,
thank them now.
Working out. Well, I mean, everybody that
Don't
I
have
had
a
at
list.
work,
Yeah.
everybody that prayed for her on Facebook. I didn't even read all the comments because I didn't have time to read all the comments back then. But just going through all that, I know work. My boss gave me, he's like, take whatever time you need. So I would take lunches and I would go down to the hospital when I was able to hold her and I would just take 2 hours for lunch because you had to have at least 1 hour. That's what their minimum was for having her lay on your chest. So I'm like, I got to take a 2-hour lunch. He's like, no, don't worry about it. Go take your 2-hour lunch and
What
come
was
back.
it like the first time you held her?
It was pretty emotional. I mean, she was so small and I have a picture. And I have my wedding ring, and her hand could go through the wedding ring, and it would still be a big bracelet. I mean, that's how small she was
Yeah.
still.
His ring was a bracelet.
And she was just kind of putting her fingers right inside the wedding ring. And I'm like, her hand's right there. I'm like, I'm going to see how big this is. I'm just going to taking a picture back up here, trying to take a picture of it because nobody else was there. But yeah, I don't know, just talk to her and, pray over her and hope, I hope everything's okay. Your daddy's here for you. Don't.
So precious.
So.
So between the month and then the day that she got to come home, was there any dates that ring out that you were specific that you want to highlight? Or
We had a big celebration on her 100th day in the NICU.
Yeah. We had a
So,
few photographers.
Photographers. They gave her a little crown that had
I-
100 on it. Or you
I
made
made
it.
the crown.
Yeah.
It was a little bit I could do, but when she hit her 100 day, apparently it was a big deal. So there was a lot of beautiful milestones. Like for me, being able to give her first bath was a huge milestone because you can't do. The first time I was able to put clothes on her because they didn't want anything on her except a little diaper. And even then, when she had the tear, they wouldn't even allow. They would just kind of sit her in the diaper. And so being able to put something on her for the first time, like to dress your baby. And one of my friends that's in medical had these it was a little preemie vest. It's just a little vest. And it had little flowers on it. And you couldn't even do it up. But it was so all the cords could come out. But it was like to see her in something pink and cute. And my mother-in-law made her one too. And so those moments, the bath, the first time I got to feed her, the first time I got to nurse her, giving her little, because she couldn't eat much, we would give her little milk, we called them milk popsicles. And so they would dip them in the milk, and you'd just put it by her mouth, and it was like a Q-tip, but not. And she would just, her little tongue would come out, and she'd lick them.
Like a bird.
I will never forget the day I came into the NICU, and I thought there was a cat in there. Did I tell you about this one?
You did, but I want to hear it again.
Yeah. So I was, a bit of a wreck. Like my brain definitely shrunk. So I'd go to the hospital, park somewhere. Every single time I'd go to leave, I'm like, where did I park? I was just, sometimes I'd get home and I'm like, I don't know how
My
I
brain
can-
must be small too.
I don't even know how I got home. What are we doing for dinner? And I walked into the NICU, and I'm like, why on earth do they have kittens in the NICU? There's a kitten in here. And I could hear this little mewing. And then I realized at the time they were working on Naomi. So there was a respirator and a nurse, and they were both in there with their gloves. There's, little holes to put your hands in. And she was crying. And I was like, oh, my baby. And I got a video of that too. And I'm like, you have voice. I didn't know she was going to have a voice. They told us her cords were probably damaged from the tube. And she just had this precious little meowing sound. It was so faint. And then, of course, it was a weekly eye test to make sure she wasn't going to be blind. And the eye test was a little difficult. They highly recommended we not be there for it because it can be a bit distressing. And so having to every Sunday that would happen, and checking in and seeing how she's doing and getting a good report, like her eyes are good. They're still good every week. And this is for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks.
When did her eyes open?
That's a good question. I did write a little, Michael did the writing. I kept some medical records. I don't remember, but that was very special.
Very special.
So we, in essence, got to see our daughter being knit together outside of the womb. So we got to see her eyes open. We got to see her being able to breathe by herself. Babies come out and breathe.
That took a while, though, to get
Yeah, the breathing was our biggest obstacle outside of the neck issues and the perforated bowels. But breathing was really tough. They did try to extubate her early on in the process because that was the biggest thing. Like, we want to get her breathing on her own, and it didn't work. And that was really hard because, she's going to go through a lot of pain and discomfort getting intubated again. And if it's you or me, we know what's happening when it's a little baby. They don't have a clue. So that was a really hard day. And then there was times where I'd be holding her and she would just stop breathing, and the nurses would rush in and massage her back and get her back. So there was a lot of anxiety and fear. We had a little broken arm bone. Broke because they're like little thinner than toothpicks. But on the positives, we could take one guest in at a time. So a lot of people came to meet her and pray over her. We had people from all over the world encouraging. Sometimes I'd show up at the NICU and then someone dropped a present off for you, and it was just sitting next to her. People were really wonderful. They wanted to help, but there wasn't much you can do. There really is nothing you can do besides help me with my son, because we didn't want him in any form of childcare, because if he got sick, I got sick. It would wipe out the NICU. So it was very strict. Like, you don't have him in daycare. We're like, no. So God worked that all out for us. But people bringing us meals was phenomenal. And I can't tell you what we ate half the time, but being able to come home and you're like, oh, wow, what are we doing for dinner? Because you don't even think about that. And there's a meal waiting. And Nathaniel and Michael and I would sit around as a family and pretend everything was normal for a few hours. We'd just sit at the table and eat a meal. And, we're just a little family having dinner, not with a child on death's door at the hospital. So we had those. There was a couple of surgeries right before she came out, just hernia.
And like, we can do them now, or we can do them later.
Come back to the hospital.
I'm like, no, let's just take care of all that while we're here, because I don't want to take her home, come back. And if she's able to have them. And they're like, yeah, she can have them now. So we did that. The biggest thing was, as she said, the breathing. When she was even just on oxygen after, she didn't have any breathing apparatus to help her, and she was breathing okay with just oxygen through her nose.
Cannula must have been so tiny.
Yeah, it was. Smallest, I think.
At home. Yeah, have a cannula at home.
And then, but she'd have these Brady's, which are when you stop breathing. And so they had to have, I don't remember if it was 2 or 3 days of no Brady's before they would let us take her home. So we were like, oh, it's almost time to take her home. And then they'd call like, oh, she had a Brady last night. Reset the clock.
So close.
So
Yeah.
you're so close. And, we were very anxious to get her home. Was not anxious, again, like she's going to be on oxygen for the next 6 months or whatever it's going to be.
Right.
We're like, all right, so we got to, that's when you start prepping for like, what's it going to be like
When you come.
when you come home. So
Yeah.
we kind of had to get her room sorted out, his room sorted out, because we had to move our son Nathaniel out of the nursery and kind of somewhat prep that room for her. So we did have some time to prep the room because she was in the hospital. We're like, well,
Yeah.
every day was like, looks like she's going to be coming home at some point. So
We slowly.
Accepting that.
accepting that.
Yeah.
We're like,
I think it was a total of 142 days.
142 days in the NICU. And then
Until
we
she
took her
came home the week before Thanksgiving. So we did, have the 100-day and we had a few photographers. One was a family photographer, and one was from our church, and they wanted to come in and take photos for free for us. So that was very special because we have some very beautiful, beautiful photos that aren't just selfies, of Naomi as she's growing. The first time I held her, he came in and took photos. But yeah, it's Halloween was another one.
Yeah.
They tried to do stuff for the little babies, and it's very hard to do anything. But we had her dressed up like a little strawberry. It was so cute. It was just a onesie, a little strawberry hat, and we were worried the noises and light is very hard on them, and they put blankets over them. And my mother-in-law is an incredible seamstress, and she saw that there's a pattern that you can make these covers for these cribs.
Well, she got one from the hospital.
Yeah, she got
We let her
one.
borrow one, and then she made a quick template out of it, gave it back, and then
Because sometimes they would just have a blanket over it because they didn't have enough, or they're not, and they're very heavy duty, really. And so she made one, and she put the verse on the inside. I will, under my wing, you will find refuge, which was the verse of Psalm. I forget it right now, but it was so comforting to me to know that my baby was tucked in his feathers, and she was being taken care of because I couldn't hold her during the night. But she was looking up, and obviously she couldn't read. But that Bible verse is on there.
She couldn't read?
I know, surprising. But I knew that she was covered with that verse. And then my mother-in-law went on to make a few of those and donated them to the NICU on behalf of Naomi,
they
which
asked
was
for more.
very
They're like,
special.
can you make more? Can you make more?
And we had families come up to us and thank us, like, you're the family that your mother-in-law made those. That meant so much to us to have a beautiful, not just a blanket, but have this beautiful homemade, really sweet
Yeah,
fabrics.
beautiful patterns on them. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's little things like that, but there was a lot of beautiful generosity. Outside of that, the surgery days were a little rough. But once we got the all clear, it was like floating on air.
And you're still. I mean, I'm still kind of scared. 'Cause
Terrified.
I'm terrified because
We don't have enough degrees to take this girl home.
We've had nurses, doctors watching over her
Yeah.
for the last
You can't take 'em home
142
with
days, and now here you go. You got to watch her now. I'm like, well, and so had to get the blood pressure or the breathing thing, the blood temperature, pulse ox,
Yeah, oxygen.
Everything.
oxygen,
Blood
everything on her. So like if it would beep if she was having any kind of issues breathing, and she's got to be on oxygen all the time, and you got to take them off her. We got all the stickers, and we're like, oh, she's got to be miserable because these stickers, you got to keep pulling them off, and you try to pull them off as gentle as you can. And
My
Well,
goodness.
they really equipped us.
Yeah.
The hospital did, and they said, we're so confident that you guys are going to be fine because you're here all the time.
Yeah.
You've seen us do this for the last 142 days.
Yeah.
And you stay the night. There's a little room in there, like a hotel room in the NICU. And we used to walk past it every day and like, one day. And it's your sleep-in room where you sleep in with your baby, but you're still in the NICU. So if something happens, the nurses can come in. But otherwise, they're
you.
giving you a chance to be with your baby. And so one night, our friend babysat our son, and we went out to, we went to the NICU, then we went out to dinner and came back, and we had the first night with our baby. And then the next day, we brought her home.
Okay, so I'm going to stop there, and we're going to continue on our next episode. And I really want to start there so we can
Yeah.
really talk about that. So
Okay.
thank you for joining us, and we hope that you join us for the next portion of the Bakker story.